Welcome back to the ADOTAT Show. Today we're rolling out the green carpet for Gareth Holmes, VP of Strategy Media at SeenThis. Gareth's here to show us that eco-friendly isn't just a buzzword for big brands. It's an actual ad tech reality. While the rest of the industry's stuck in the Stone Age with clunky downloads, Gareth's team has managed to serve up lightning-fast video ads that cut down the carbon footprint. Ready for a brainy yet irreverent dive into sustainable streaming tech? Let's see if Gareth's crew can juggle flaming chainsaws without burning the house down.
Deserve to win when it matters most. Facing multi-billion-dollar bet the company litigation? No problem. That's why we're here. Troutman Amin, LLP is a true legal powerhouse.
Welcome back to the ADOTAT Show. Today we're plunging into the chaotic carnival that is ad tech with the one and only Gareth Holmes, the VP of Strategy and Media at SeenThis. Gareth is not just riding the wave of digital advertising, he's surfing it on a neon green jet ski while making sure we don't drown in our own data waste. SeenThis has gained notoriety for its adaptive streaming technology, enhancing video delivery, and while dramatically reducing the carbon footprint of advertising. Talk about eco-friendly innovation. Gareth's here to spill the tea on how streaming video ads can be fast, fabulous, and planet-saving. So, Gareth, how are you? Still juggling flaming chainsaws over there? Or has your team managed to keep all the balls in the air without starting fires?
You think what a wonderful introduction. No, we are chainsaw juggling quite efficiently. Teams are doing wonderful work, and thank you again for that introduction. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so you're known for your collaborative leadership style, and you emphasize teamwork over hierarchy. So I have a question. Has the chaos hit a manageable level yet? Or is it still a full-blown circus act of deadlines and metrics?
I don't think the chaos will ever ebb. It's more embrace the environment and learn to swim with it rather than against it.
Well, speaking of circus acts, let's dive into the star attraction, streaming ads. You've been calling them the filet mignon of ad formats, while vast downloads are looking more like last week's soggy chips. What is in this secret sauce of yours? Are we taking a Michelin star recipe or some clever marketing mumbo-jumbo?
It's definitely a Michelin star recipe. That one of the key points with streaming is most people know what streaming is already today. We use it in many aspects of our lives. So the genius, the scenes have taken what we do in entertainment and gaming and action of content on other arms, and we're applying that to advertising. So it's definitely not hyperbole or PowerPoint non-existence, as you may say.
So your product, from what I see, it's adaptive streaming technology that allows users, it enhances user experience by allowing ads to start playing almost instantly, thereby improving performance metrics and aligning with sustainability goals. This is like some real ad tech wizardry. Is this really the real deal?
It's borne out. We can, via our clients, prove everything we say. We're not a company based on hyperbole. It really is the fact when you break it down to the maths of a single file. This is one example. Historically, that big old file needs to download to some form of device, and the bulk of that file has to download to enable it to start playing. Analogy is iTunes. So previously with iTunes, if you wanted to listen to Mamma Mia by ABBA, you hit play, a whole lump of that file would have to download to your device, and then it would start playing. It's with something such as a Spotify. As you hit play, it starts playing. It's able to do that because that big old file, using adaptive bitrate streaming, is broken down into smaller data packets. All it takes is one data packet to be downloaded onto that phone, streamed to that phone to start playing. It's all fact-based.
Do you have any case studies that showcase this holy grail of streaming ads?
Any case studies. What really does spring to mind was a case study that Media Monks released for Evian. It's for a few awards in APAC, I believe. That's all their data.
Now known as just Monks.
The data we got back from Monks, we were streaming technology. So we delivered the asset. They came back to us and told us their click-through rate increased to 152%. The CPM that they paid for media went down 36% per completed view. Based on their numbers, it was down 296%. The per click on every ad was 243% lower. Avoided around 3,000 gigabits of data being transferred and saved about 325 kilos avoided emissions. All of those stats are Monk stats, not our own. So that bears out what we say works.
It's very clear it's working, but the industry is still acting like you're asking to jump off a cliff when it comes to streaming ads. Why is there cold feet?
There's cold feet streaming as such. I think the industry generally is change averse, and anything new comes with unknowns. To quote Rumsfeld, an unknown creates a lot of anxiety for people. It's more about it's new. There are certain ways of doing things. People like to introduce new things into their day because typically people are time poor, and with new comes risk. Humans are typically risk averse. It's more about they doing over there. Oh, they're doing it. It works. I'll see how that goes. Okay, cool. It hasn't ruined anything there, and then I'll adopt it. So we are seeing broad adoption with anything new into any industry. Faster adoption would suit us far more better.
Are there actual tech hurdles that are keeping streaming ads back, or is it more like lazy meets paranoid?
There are no technical hurdles. It's tag-based, so it sits precisely into current swim lanes. We're essentially a tag-based industry. The challenge historically really is on display. We stream into display or online or in-app units. Display and video typically sit in different buckets within agencies. So a lot of education needed with how do I get a video into display inventory? Because that concept is new for most. As said previously, new isn't always a great thing.
Tired of ads that make you want to gouge your eyes out? So are we. At Origin, we've remastered TV advertising to actually capture your attention and deliver real results. Ditch the same old, and elevate your brand with dynamic, captivating ad experiences. Expect better. Expect Origin.
So, Sweden is known for its sleek minimalism. Are you bringing Viking innovation to this, or is it more like IKEA's simplicity?
Question. I think it's probably a bit of both. Trust the Swedish, and it's one of those things. Sweden doesn't start wars with people. It doesn't really cause any issues in the world. So it does allow a friction as we go in, and we're fortunate enough that we do try to present our technology. We don't over-exaggerate anything. And we go back to the basics, and we just show people. So we hold up a phone, the vast video downloading, and here is a stream video downloading. Get and have a look for it yourself. So people can physically see the difference between the two. So it's a comparative sell.
So we know that streaming ads are like catnip for our lizard brains, but let's dig into the why here. You've said before that humans are wired to fixate on movement like a cat on a laser pointer. Are we still sitting ducks for our own brains, or is there more to this ad witchcraft?
There's a lot more to it, but for simplicity, does mean that we are drawn to movement as a species. So if something moves, we will look at it. The beauty of streaming is it does start instantly because it's such a small data packet that needs to be streamed to start playing. But we can start instantly, all the metrics flow on from there. So it really is about getting that start instant. As soon as something starts instantly, all the metrics improve from there. If something takes 2 seconds to load, we might scroll past it. You're fighting a losing battle if you cannot get what should be starting to play instantly to start play instantly.
So understanding human psychology and instincts can help create more effective ads as they play to our innate tendencies. Are there any other evolutionary quirks that we can exploit for ad success?
Few. Color perception is one. In advertising, colors can be used strategically to evoke emotions and responses. For example, red can stimulate urgency, so it can get people to think urgency. Blue creates a sense of calm and trust, and we see the calm and trust in a lot of the social platforms. They tend to opt towards blue because it calms people down. There's also social influence. So if you can put people in an ad where they are connected and liked within society, you get that associative behavior. Storytelling is another one. Like a story as a species. Risk aversion. So if we can present in an ad that it will not hurt you, it will not cost you because of ABC. And pattern recognition, also another big one. So if we can create patterns in advertising, a lot of brands do it. So they hold the same message, whether it be a TVC, an online video, or a static image. Those are the main ones from an evolutionary standpoint.
Are static ads officially extinct, or they have one last breath?
I think they're pretty much done, depending on where in the funnel and such like. But sometimes there are places where you cannot get a video to play. In online advertising, if you can get a static and there's an ad server behind it, then you can stream a video to it as well. Really, I would say anywhere online or in app, the days of static ads are absolutely limited.
When does movement turn into overkill, Albert? Is there a line between wow and a headache?
There must be. I think over busy is not going to impress anybody, but you use movement to grab the attention and then resonance to hold it. Vast sums that are spent on targeting and ads. If ads are targeted correctly, the resonance will hold the attention that the movement grabs.
So who's the prime target here, though? Zoomers, boomers, or Gen X skeptics? Who can't look away? Is it equal opportunity brain hacking, or do some age groups fall faster?
It shows Gen Z or younger audience who are more likely predisposed to be attracted by the movement, the usage of social, and the fact that terms like doom scrolling come from somewhere, so they're constantly doing it. Heavy consumers, event goers, and people with younger families are also more likely to be engaged for much the same reason. Watching and reacting is a bigger part of their life. So movement grabs pretty much all of us equally, but there's some where movement will work slightly better.
So the line between effective marketing and manipulation is often thin, raising ethical questions. So is this more psychology or just a shiny distraction?
I think it's an understanding. All ads are meant to manipulate into action. To suggest otherwise misses the point of advertising. This is the nature of advertising. We want to manipulate. We want to encourage action, thought. So I don't think it's manipulative in the negative sense, but it absolutely to get somebody who's thinking of doing something to notice movement, who will then be engaged for how an ad resonates with them, and then move through the purchase funnel from there.
Do you ever feel like an ad wizard?
I don't feel like an ad wizard, but I do appreciate a lot more in the back end. So if you understand the maths, the science, and the sociology, advertising it can help you explain what is a complicated process methodology to many incredibly simply. I think a lot of people would call themselves wizards, love the hyperbole, love the language, and love the sort of the esoteric nature of the con we use. I think a true wizard is able to explain anything incredibly simply to anybody.
So we covered how ad tech taps into our caveman wiring, but here's the twist. If we really understand psychology so well, why is the industry still building products that, let's be real about this, that don't work half the time? It's using the metaphor I used before. It's like we're cooking with inspired ingredients and expecting a Michelin star.
I think the challenge really is creation in a vacuum. So a lot of, or in a local market, products are created to solve perceived problems, not necessarily real world problems. So you might say, oh, this solves for that, but is that really a problem, or is it what's around that being the problem? So it might be you're buying, we can make it so much easier because of this. Well, that might be a solution, but the person that has to implement that product or new solution has to do that across 100 different clients. So whilst the solution might be a great point solution, is able to be scaled within that person's working day.
I so like to be brutally honest about something. What is one thing the ad industry gets hilariously wrong when it comes to building products that actually work? Are we just too busy patting ourselves on the back to notice?
I think we get, as an industry, I don't think we get too many things wrong. I think we mismanage our own expectations on the amount of friction or the amount of disruption a product may cause. When you're from the inside out, so I'm developing a product, I might think, oh, it's really cool when I do this. And it's appreciating the outside in. When it comes to adoption, the friction of adoption. Time does a person actually have to learn a new way of doing something, as opposed to me sitting here creating a product? It's incredibly simple. You just do these 3 things. 3 things can be incredibly hard when somebody's got 18,472 other things to do in their day. I think just appreciating the friction of adoption is one thing that is perhaps suboptimal across the industry.
You've also spoken before about misguided priorities. Is this a case of busy work or sheer denial? Are the suits in the boardroom ignoring the realities of the playground?
The problem, amount of moving parts in the industry, and the fact that we sell to agencies. A lot of agencies have a lot on their plate. The industry is fluid. It's not standing still. So we have privacy with environmental coming into it. We also then have consolidation. We then have lawsuits being filed left, right, and center in the US. So it's hard to know. I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand which direction they should go in. I think there can be some separation as to what happens in a boardroom to what happens to the person with hands on keyboard. But I don't think there's a fundamental disconnect. I think there's just a lack of appreciation of how busy people actually are at the coalface.
All right, we sorted through the industry blunders. Now let's throw a curveball. Picture this. You're stranded on a desert island, but here's the twist. You get to pick 5 people to come with you. Who are they?
Tesla, Da Vinci, Florence Nightingale, Leo Galilei, and Confucius. With 5 people I would take with me.
Are you picking brains, or is this pure survival instinct?
I think when can come survival instinct, but I think more than anything I'm picking innovators. Absolutely was. Da Vinci was for different reasons. Nightingale, every trend of her time and delivered progress to us as a species. Leo, against pretty much every dogma that existed of his time to prove a point. We weren't heliocentric. Look out, everything didn't revolve the whole world heliocentric rather than earth-centric. He really challenged there, and Confucius to bring a bit of stability and a bit of reason to the island. So it was more about innovation to survive than anything else.
So who's in charge on the island? Are we talking democracy, dictatorship, or an all-out genius brawl?
Florence Nightingale.
Tesla probably says he's the boss.
I think men will probably agree they're the boss, but the cold hard truth is, I think Florence Nightingale would probably be the best placed to be the boss, the one most grounded in reality out of us sitting on the island.
How do you think Galileo and Tesla would react if they saw modern ad tech? Are they fascinated, or would they just be laughing at us?
Galileo would be impressed by the sheer scale of modern advertising. Coming from a background, he valued empirical observation and then the dissemination of that knowledge to appreciate how advertising has grown exponentially from a technological perspective in the past decade. He might be a little bit skeptical about the potential for misinformation. On the other hand, he'd be amazed and also skeptical to marvel at the technological advancements that allow real-time everything, the communication and targeting, really fits with his sort of visionary perspective on the world. Also might express concern about the capitalist nature of it, and he'd probably want to give everything away, would run into probably the same problems that he did of his time.
Imagine Da Vinci running a creative team today. Genius or a total liability?
It would be seen as a genius move rather than a risky liability. He's a master artist, but also a polymath. From science to engineering to what he did in anatomy, his innovative thinking does blend the art and the science. I think it would be an absolute stroke of genius to employ Da Vinci to lead a creative team.
Last of all, Confucius. Does Confucianism translate to modern marketing at all, or is it just a great quote for Instagram?
I think it absolutely does translate, but I think it more translates to the marcoms industry today than it did perhaps 20 years ago. We'd promote honesty, foster harmony and stability, hold moral values, respect for all. I think the world absolutely heading more that way. Sort of towards the end, he would look at what everybody has created together, and then he would try and educate and elevate everybody up with newfound knowledge.
So let's get back to reality. You once said that the ad industry is like an unregulated finance sector in disguise. Ouch. Why does this keep flying under the radar? Are we all in on the joke, or are we just all oblivious?
I don't believe it's an underlying issue as such. My point here is that the core motivation for our industry is to deliver profit to shareholders and stakeholders. My point is the lack of regulation, that as long as the constituents agree to move forward without a third party or a regulatory body saying, no, it needs to be done this way or it needs to be done that way. Due to the lack of regulation, there is no one way of doing things. So you can set up a company with little to no finance and begin trading. As you trade with can decide ourselves whether you are credit worthy or trustworthy. Lack of regulation means a lot of it is based on relationships, which is actually not dissimilar to banking 20 or 30 years ago, when you could go into a bank and meet the bank manager. She said, yep, I know you, I know your family, I trust you, we can do business, we can give you credit. More the positive attributes of lack of regulation than a nefarious one as such. Point is, anybody can build a multi-billion-dollar company based on relationships in this industry, not based on ticking boxes that some often distant regulator may put in place. So it wasn't meant to be the industry. It was more about the positive aspect of the industry.
So do you see regulation coming, or are we stuck in chaos?
Don't see any regulation. I think chaos is here to stay. Absolutely embrace the chaos.
So let's pivot a little bit back too. You've talked about sticking to a moral compass in this wild industry. In a world where lines between right and wrong are blurrier than a 3 a.m. drunk text, how do you keep that compass pointing in the right direction?
It's based on who you are as a human. I don't think it's anything to do with the industry. I was fortunate enough. I had super strong parents when I grew up. I went into the military at a very young age, at 16. Humility, morality, honesty, and loyalty were instilled in me. I have no trouble staying true to where I believe we should go as a human being.
So what's the magic here? Pep talks, or is it more like don't be a jerk policy?
It's a little bit of both. I think of people at leadership and they think it is telling people to go there and do that, where for me it's more about come here and do this. I believe in leadership through servitude, and John C. Maxwell said it best: serving is below you, then leading is beyond you. I try and carry that with me every single day.
Has there been a time where your values were tested, like a trial by fire situation?
Back in the 40s, it was a different world, and as a media buyer, absolutely were times people would go, "Hey, just buy this and we'll do that," trying to incentivize the buying. And I'm sure most buyers that were media buyers around 20 years ago were approached to do that. I know anybody that jumped on the bandwagon, but it was certainly in a far more incentivized market than it is today.
Does your team buy into the values, or they just think it's fluff?
Seen anything to suggest it would be fluff. I have a slightly different background. Somebody that does have my background can buy into it and buy into it humbly. You don't need to be big and tough and argy-bargy to get things done in this world. There's a lot of value in being truthful, showing humility, by demonstrating that by not talking over people, by waiting for other people to have their say, by encouraging people bring a problem, just bring a solution. What's your opinion on it? So asking questions really is the best way to get people to act in a way that you believe the correct way to go. Then it really is a case of encouraging, not people up when they've made a decision and the decision is wrong. It's fine. A decision is often far better than a decision whatsoever. I need to learn from it. I made more than enough mistakes in my life to be able to point to them and go, mistakes won't kill you, and not winning is absolutely fine. It's just another step on the way to winning.
So what is your life like behind the buzzwords and KPIs? Is it all just pitch decks? What is the real you?
Incredibly simple boy from New Zealand. The real me, being on a farm, walking the dog, and outside of work, my main hobby is flying a helicopter. It's hilariously good fun. It does allow you to not think about anything else. It's 100% fuming when you do it, so it does give me some break from it. But no, a dyed-in-the-wool ad tech person whatsoever. I don't think anybody really that exciting.
Besides helicopter piloting, what's one thing you absolutely love doing that has nothing to do with work? Do you like hunt sheep?
What? Sorry?
Do you hunt sheep?
Do I hunt?
One of the few things. So one of the few things I know about New Zealand is sheep and churches.
Have a lot of churches.
I think New Zealand has the most churches per capita in the world.
Most churches, the most golf courses, and the most sheep. Most sheep. Well, I'm a simple boy. I love the outdoors. I don't like angles in the sky, so I don't like seeing buildings. I absolutely love to get away from it all. And where I live, I don't have any neighbours. I'm in amongst miles and miles of arable land, and I can quite happily just sit and look at the stars, look for satellites, relax. I'm very happy in my own company and don't need electronics to ensure I have a good time.
If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? Are we talking about don't sweat the small stuff, or is it more like a big life lesson territory? 2
ears and 1 mouth, use them proportionally, would be my advice to a very young myself. Listen more and stay in school. I left school when I was 15. I didn't agree with school, as most people don't. And it was just the easiest option for me. So I left school at 15, went into the military at 16, spent a decade there before I came into this industry. I should have stayed at school. I wish I had stayed at school, and then I'd be able to be an astrophysicist today, which still remains bucket list to do, is go and study that.
So is there a personal failure you had that you actually laughed about now?
I don't, a personal failure, they're probably far too numerous to go through. My biggest failures in the industry, one that I do laugh at now, is I spent the entire quarterly PC budget for a not insubstantial telco in one afternoon. And that was actually done because I thought I knew what I was doing and I didn't ask questions. That was amusing, and it was in the hundreds of thousands of pounds below while I was in a pub, to be brutally honest.
So before we go, I'd like to ask everyone, what part of your career did you grow the most and why?
When we moved to programmatic trading, I think that really ignited the mathematical Gareth that was inside me, understanding that it wasn't all about shiny suits and flash lunches and beautiful smiles. It really opened up the cerebral side of the industry and gave us geeks a little bit more room to be ourselves. So when we moved to programmatic trading, that really was a new epoch in our industry, and allowed a lot of the genius behind the scenes to surface, equally to the people that could bring in the sales or who could get in all the parties or all the clubs. So that for me was absolutely the turning point.
And that's a wrap on today's shenanigans. Huge thanks to Gareth Holmes for reminding us that ad tech can actually be smart and save the planet. Who knew that watching ads could be as eco-friendly as sipping kombucha in a Tesla? Now, take what you learned, toss it on the mental grill, and let it sizzle. Because your carbon-spewing, data-hoarding ways aren't going to fix themselves. Massive thanks to our sponsors for fueling the madness. Troutman Amin, the legal wizards making sure your risky campaigns stay just on this side of scandal. And Origin, the CTV magicians who turn your ads into can't-look-away moments instead of something to mute and skip. So until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and if you're not stirring the pot, are you really even here?